Hey team, Rowan here. Come take a walk with me down Cringe Lane. We're gonna keep going until we get to Edgelord Drive, because I'm gonna talk to you about a story called Risker. This was the logo, and the symbol is actually tattooed on a bunch of the characters in the story, such as Risker himself. It was also my first tattoo, but I promise the symbol came before the story, as much as I joke that I was like, so sure that I'd do something with this premise that I got a tattoo of it in the middle of my back. It was on my spine. My first tattoo is on my spine. It's fine. This symbol is a kind of sigil. I could do a video about the sigil. I'm not doing a video. I mean, not right now. Anyway, it's not about it. So it doesn't matter for the sake of this video. But Risker, in the story, he's moved during the process of getting it on his forehead, and he was supposed to have a scar on his face where the machine, screwed up because of that, and he was immediately rebelling, is the point. I thought I was brilliant. I was a child. But I thought it was being very smart. And some of the characters are kind of snapped out of being monsters when the symbol on them is changed in a golem situation. Some of them have the tattoos only, and some of them have, devices on them. One of the characters has a necklace that I wound up making the necklace in a workshop in high school. Right, so Risker is trying to find his mother in this horrible facility where these half-human, half-government weapons are born, thinking he can, save her the same way that he saved some of the other people. And he succeeds in finding her, and it's horrible, and then he goes after his father, who by the end of the story is supposed to be this, masked monster. I literally named him Mask. Mask with an E on the end. Again, I was a child. So, by high school, I did, 4 pages of the story as a comic. I'm not really sure where the other one... I have the 1 page. In any case, that's as far as it ever went. The assassin love interest, Katrina, got a redesign for the comic, which was mostly just simplifying. She didn't need all the tails and shit, but she still had these blades on her back that were supposed to spin around. And a hammer attached to her arm. I like her. But I'm not tackling that right now. Today, what I want to tackle is this guy. Was the story ever finished? No. But like many things in my morgue, it has components that were pretty neat. So, take my hand. Let's embrace the cringe and be free. First of all, let's talk shape, right? He was just kind of dude in a robe with some things coming out, which is, fun. But I want it to be more obvious that he's blobby. I like the idea that he's got, tendrils all through the facility that watch whatever's going on. Maybe he's actually stuck at this point. The same way that Mother is stuck, but he's fully conscious. I want it to still be dangerous, though, so maybe, he can put puppets out that are connected to him, and if this were a video game, which I also thought about, Risker's been fighting them as bosses throughout, maybe. He fights other creatures, but, when he's fighting the boss, it's technically his dad, he just doesn't know that. That could be fun. Maybe he wants to puppet people all over the world, sure. I love the idea of the mask just kind of stuck onto the mass of him. He should look like he's desperately trying and failing to still look human, even after all he's done to himself to be evolved or whatever. Maybe the robes he's wearing used to be, something fitted, and now they're tattered, and then they can kind of tendril out like the rest of him does. Oh, what if a piece is, stuck inside him? I want to be part of the wall, and extending way out beyond this scene. I want him kind of, not goopy, because he's a solid mass, but, I do like the idea that maybe parts of him sometimes break off, a Clayface situation. Maybe there's another form of him earlier on. We can see him when he's not mutated. I did draw I drew him at one point. Again, real bad. Real bad. Oh, after realizing that he really wasn't even wearing a shirt initially, before he changes, I decided he probably isn't gonna, find an outfit. So I ditched the idea of the clothing. The tattered clothes that just, nope, just nude. Just nude. There's so much of the story that was never fleshed out. It is just plot holes. There were moments where, they were gonna stumble upon a big case, not case, a tank, I guess. Tank? a cage with glass. A containment unit. There we go. That had a tiger in it and a butterfly, and the assumption was that the tiger was going to be like the mutated thing, it was going to turn into something else. But instead, we look away, we look at Risker and Katrina, and they're horrified, and it looks back, and there's the butterfly on top of the skeleton of the tiger, and the butterfly burps. And that was the joke. It's been done before. I thought I was clever. I was a child. Anyway, so I'll take a minute now to explain how I did the background, because it's in layers, right? So we have like this foggy situation, and then I was going for tendrils, like it's more of him stretching way in the back. Tendrils of the man named Mask, right? I recognize what it looks like, but work with me here. On top of that, I used the colors that I did use in him, in his form, but I made them more muted. And then I cut out a bunch of holes so you can see through it into the other background. And then I tried to make a darker edge just to make it a little bit more 3D. I recognize how flat it does look. It wasn't necessarily my intent, but it's fine. It's a background. I didn't want too much detail on it. Speaking of, when I added the mouths and the eyes, I love them. I love them so much, but I didn't want to make them too shaded. So that pushes them back a little bit. And then I added an overlay on top of the whole thing to push the whole thing back even more into the background. Yeah, I'm gonna flesh this out a little bit more. Flesh. Emphasis on flesh. And I'm doing a couple different elements of shading, because there's gonna be the brown first, just like he wound up with some green in him and a little bit of pink in him, because that's kind of what skin does anyway, and if you're like gonna paint skin, we're not just peach colors. We're not just browns, like there's a little bit of green in it, there's a little bit of other colors. And so I wanted to emphasize all of that since he is just mound of flesh. There's a little bit of purple, there's a little bit of brown. And then here is the final version. This is my redesign, so let's look at the original again, and then how I made him now. And I'm pretty pleased with this. I think he's spooky, I think he's scary, I think he's intimidating. And, just for fun, here is a glimpse of what he would look like sans mask. Which is worse. I do think it's worse without the mask. I don't know. What do you think? Sound off in the comments. Tell me, is it worse with or without the mask? Which would you rather come in contact with? And rock on.